Hello and welcome back to TriggerSmart. This video is kind of going to be a mix of a few different things. They didn't really have enough content for one video by itself, but are interesting overall in the Charlie Kirk arena. So let's start getting into it. First, we have Senator Mike Lee, who is demanding that Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, be executed in public. Now, this is very problematic for a few reasons. First of all, he's not officially guilty yet. He hasn't even had a trial yet. He's only had pre-trials. So innocent until proven guilty is the way it works in the US, at least the way it's supposed to work, right? But he's sitting here with a huge smile on his face, saying that a supposedly innocent person at this point should be executed in public. And this is also the sentiment that we heard from many people early on. Do you remember that sentiment early on where everyone was saying he should get the death penalty because they have the death penalty in Utah? That's before he's even made guilty. And as many of you have probably heard, Erica Kirk has asked for a speedy trial. And people are saying, why is she pushing for a speedy trial for a man that she's forgiven? Speedy trial rights belong to the defendant, not the victim. In Utah and under the U.S. Constitution, only the accused can demand or waive a speedy trial. Victims cannot legally control the timeline. This is also interesting because I spoke to a lawyer who has been a criminal defense lawyer for over 30 years. He said in his 30 years of practice, not once has this happened. This source, who obviously will remain anonymous, says, never heard of it before in 30 years, extremely abnormal. Also, read the hearing. I thought the prosecutor screwed up in the hearing as he learned about it through his child, and they are arguing for no cameras during her testimony, which is BS, as they want the cameras when it suits their purposes. When he asked 2 times to have a sealed hearing, he lost credibility and also showed emotion, which cuts against his arguments. I think the J should recuse Jeff Gray to err on the side of caution. Additionally, she may become a mitigating witness. This is a serious problem, in my opinion. So far, I've been impressed with the judge for what it's worth. And I think many of you, when we were going through the trial and we had live coverage, you also like the judge so far, right? He seems as though he's not going to let them get away with any BS, hopefully. And hopefully that continues. And the next I want to cover this video, this is from Black Scout Survival. And if you're into firearms or prepping or everyday carry and that kind of stuff, he has a company called Black Scout Survival, and they sell some good stuff.
I'm like, what the freak is Erica Kirk doing in China? I know we've heard about the Romanian orphanage thing or whatever, but why is this detail just now coming out? Maybe it has been out. I just hadn't heard about it. Maybe I'm just living in a hole. I don't know. But that's never been part of the public story before. And it surfaces now alongside other stuff, right? Because that is not a throwaway detail. If you've ever dealt with China, you've ever seen anybody trying to go to China, if you ever try to go to China yourself, you know exactly what it means. You don't just go to China and float around anonymously. You fill out a serious visa application. They know who you are. They know why you're there. They know who you talk to. You're being followed the entire time. If you're an American and you go to China, you're being watched, period. So I'm going to ask the obvious question, what was she there for? And why does that part of the story feel conveniently ignored while everything else is being pressed, okay? So if we look at this, where this pattern shows up, is that we're being sold a persona. Trad values, conservative femininity, wholesome optics. That's the image. But what you actually see publicly is a highly manufactured presentation. Who was next to Charlie Kirk? Perfect lighting, framing, always camera ready, and skin tight black leather pants. And yeah, I'll say it. Maybe that's why the skin tight leather pants, because sex sells. She said it. Maybe that's why. Even on the right, especially on the right, they had Nicki Minaj up there. Said horrendous things in music. Dances in music videos with thongs. Not the representation of trad values, traditional values. If this was about ideas, optics wouldn't matter. But they do matter. That's the whole point. Arguments don't go viral, man. Aesthetics do. Now, if you stack this together, a resurfaced video, mystery guy, an engagement nobody knew about, allegedly, I don't know. Open admission of sex sells. Religious messaging that contradicts it. And a sudden mention of living in China. And I'm supposed to just nod and not ask questions. All it needs your time locally. One point, a friend of a friend hooked me up with a former senator off the record, meet with him just to talk about how things work because I was curious if it was possible. He told me a lot, and if you know, I told many people back in this time when this happened, but I was talking about running for smaller offices, trying to grow. What he told me was that challenging certain power structures just doesn't end careers. Sometimes it ends people. Sometimes it ends people. I asked him about our senator. If I had ran against him, what would happen? He said, well, you'd probably get washed out pretty early because he has major financial backing. But if you were a threat, your life would be over. And then I stumbled upon this clip with Charlie Kirk talking about that very man.
Updates about Israel and
This was from June. This was from June when Charlie's talking about this. So June, July, August, September.
Iran and potentially the United States. On one side is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they are actively calling for regime change. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is just lunacy. This kind of analysis is not helpful. This kind of approach, this kind of argument, it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons at this point. This is now that we want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah.
Charlie Kirk, very influential, going against Lindsey Graham, who is the face of the military-industrial complex, heavily funded by Israel. During this time, Charlie Kirk started asking some questions, started not exactly aligning with the Republican opinion, the conservative, the GOP. It was unusual to the others following lockstep, okay? When you have Donald Trump, who is currently backing Lindsey Graham, we know Lindsey Graham is a swamp creature, part of the deep state. He is the full-time military industrial complex guy. He wants to bomb everywhere he sees. We have Charlie Kirk, again, who's very influential, who brought many people into the political world and put backing into it. Now, kind of to sidestep a little bit, but if you fast forward to now, I've personally been contacted by foreign state-aligned media. I told you guys, I showed you the receipts a few months ago where I was contacted. Ukrainian state media. They reached out to me a few months ago. I told you about it. Ukraine 24, government operated. I turned them down. I showed you the receipts. This week, I get contacted by, guess who? Russian state media reached out to me. Turn that down too.
I'm not going to play his full video, but it is worth watching. Go over there and check him out, Black Scout Survival. Make sure you show some love, but it's very interesting. I mean, obviously, he, I don't know if you know or not, but he has a lot of military experience. I believe he was Special Forces as well. He is also very outspoken politically, but it's interesting that he's had these experiences. He's had different nation states reach out to him to basically see if they can pay him to be kind of like a propaganda puppet. And he's showed it a few different times from a few different nation states. And we know that a lot of influencers get paid off, right? So really the point of that was just to show some of those details about his experience in politics and what he had heard from that politician, okay? And then also he showed that Charlie Kirk had spoken badly about some of those people. And then I have this last piece here, and it's interesting. This was sent in by one of you guys. This person apparently has some kind of affiliation or membership to certain types of sites based on the work that they do. And this is one thing they pulled up. They pulled up Charles J. Kirk, male, lived from 1993 to 2025. Age at death was 32, and it shows them in Scottsdale area. And the thing that's interesting is this shows deceased. So as they dug more into it, Spyfly pulls those records from public things and other things that they have access to look for death certificates or proof of death. So according to Spyfly and this background check, it is saying that Charlie Kirk is officially deceased. Now, can that be faked? Can it be forged? Of course. I mean, there are cases where people get caught fraudulently creating death certificates for insurance reasons and other purposes. So is this 100% definitive? No. But it is interesting that he does show as deceased when you look up these systems. I'm interested to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are links down in the description, and you can always become a channel member, and I appreciate all of those that have. A side note, a lot of you have told me that you've been unsubscribed from my channel, or you thought you were subscribed and went back and you're not. So if you do want to be subscribed, make sure you go double check and make sure that you are. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.